And she said, I can't point a gun. Neighborhoods were not safe. Never seen the Klan before. And
What up, fam? What up? What up? Coming on late, had to reprogram some things. Always something. But that's all right. We're gonna be in and out of here tonight. Welcome to the room, family. Welcome to the room. Finally in here. Supposed to be here at 9 o'clock, but for whatever reason, Instagram did not want to go live tonight. If anybody can hop in Discord, let them know we are live. All right. What are we discussing tonight? Black political ideology. So I hate that I'm late because I'm not going to be able to stay on here long because I have to be off here by 10. So we're going to hop right into it. Talent acquisition tip of the week. I just saw somebody that received the offer. They could not take their drug test within 72 hours because they did not check their email. Basically, they told the organization that they wanted to start like 35, 45 days later. By the way, make sure you discuss that in the beginning. Will it affect your ability to get a job? It's not supposed to, but humans going human. But this young man, he received his offer letter. He signed off his offer letter, but he did not, for whatever reason, take his drug test. And I do believe he just missed the email. I believe he thought, oh, yeah, I'm not starting till like 45 days out from now, so I don't need to look for anything. Now, those companies still got to get those drug tests out, immediately. Long story short, he did not take his drug test within 72 hours, and the company rescinded the offer. First thing you want to do if you do sign off on an offer letter is make sure you know who the email is coming from for your onboarding. Typically, it's coming from HR. Find out who. See if you can get a name. And if you don't get a name, get the recruiter's name and follow up the next day because things like this happen all the time. And I assure you, nobody wants to take the blame for it, right? The recruiter doesn't want to say, yeah, I didn't tell them that they was going to get an onboarding email. Onboarding is not going to tell them, yeah, I forgot to send the email or it went to spam. I didn't give them a follow-up phone call. If you're into any type of time delay, hey, you need to sign off on this in X amount of hours. You need to take a drug test in X amount of hours. Get a name, follow up with that person. This guy lost his job all because he did not take the drug test within 72 hours. And I'll be honest, guys, when you with major corporations, they're not going to bend. When you with medium-sized companies, it's an act of Congress to get another drug test out to you. So follow up, like I say, sign an offer letter, find out who your onboarding information is coming from. That's the best thing that I can advise you. Let's see here. Tonight, let's hop into it, man. We're going to hop into black ideology, black political ideology. We discussed it briefly on the pod yesterday. I'm Pastor Mike Will from Black Dads Club. Appreciate y'all coming into the room tonight. Let me look up yesterday's pod, actually. Go through it with you guys real quick. You guys know I like to give out a grade whenever we do a podcast. Yesterday, I would definitely say it was a B+ podcast. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick here. Hey, welcome to the room, guys. Welcome to the room. Sorry I'm late, man. The stream key, for whatever reason, it did not want me to get on tonight. So I had to log all the way out and log all the way back in. Let's see here. Probably around the 13-minute mark was when we get into the pod. We discussed Cardi B's album. Then we discussed Kamala at the 35-minute mark, saying adding gay Pete Mayor Buttigieg. I can't pronounce that. To the ticket was too much of her campaign. Kamala got to stop tripping, man. Like, Kamala was too much for her campaign. She was never going to win. I know a lot of y'all hopeful. Y'all pull for the home team. I get it. I do the same thing for the Gamecocks. But the same way that the Gamecocks suck right now, the DNC sucks right now. You have to admit that there's a problem in order to make it better. But we did discuss Kamala yesterday a little bit, and one of the things that we discussed is like, hey, perhaps part of the problem with the black community is the fact that we've left the black church. Baraka says Monday morning quarterback. I don't know. Why don't you go back and listen to the podcast that I dropped back in March? Right? Why don't you go listen back from March to June and tell me if I'm Monday morning quarterbacking? Let's see here. But we were discussing black political ideology and like what should be our ideology, as blacks. Like where should we be? Like where should we be, right? Because I know a lot of us, vote Democratic. Some of us are conservative in some places, so you may vote conservative, locally or maybe, senatorial, House. But one of the things that I always say is that one of the things that we need to do as blacks is just vote in general, right? Just vote. 100%. I don't care what party you vote for, right? When those exit polls show up, it should show black Americans are voting at the highest rates. You are going to have to get involved politically. And when I was going through some of the political animals, like before we did the podcast yesterday, and that that's Willie Richardson, Maynard Jackson, Harvey Gantt. If you're in Charlotte, that name's probably ring familiar to you. Andrew Young, Clayton Powell. Like these are some of the huge political names of black men that have came in to kind of guide, the civil rights movement a little bit. And I'm going to play this clip right here. I was going to play another clip, but we actually played a brief snippet of this on the podcast yesterday. And one of the things that I thought, I was like, you know what? We need to play more of it. We need to listen to what Andrew Young says. And Andrew Young, this says Ambassador Andrew Young. He was the ambassador. But he was actually, I would say, probably Maynard Jackson protege. And if you wonder who Maynard Jackson is, Hartsfield Jackson Airport out of Atlanta, that's Maynard Jackson. Maynard Jackson is going to be one of the first black, well, not one of the first black mayors, I guess, during the apartheid would probably be the best way to put it. And Andrew Young was his protege. Andrew Young, I believe, became the mayor. I think he followed up Maynard Jackson. I'm not from Atlanta, so I can't really tell you Atlanta politics. But these are a lot of guys that I studied just as a young black man growing up, studying a lot of religion. Because a lot of these guys, like Clayton Powell, right? If you watch, what's the mobster movie? Godfather of Harlem. If you watch Godfather of Harlem season 1, you see a lot of Clayton Powell in Godfather of Harlem. Now the funny thing is when they show you Clayton Powell, he kind of comes off a little bit as a, kind of get over type black man. He was actually a pastor. And so was this young man right here. So was this man right here, Andrew Young. He was young back then. And I want you to just listen to what he says here. I'm going to play it for about 3 or 4 minutes.
And I said, oh, Lord.
So he's talking about the Klan coming after him.
My wife had studied nonviolence in school. I hadn't as yet. And so I said to her, look, if they come to bother us, I'm going to go talk to them. But I want you to sit in the window with a rifle. And if they try to do something to me, let them know that one of them is going to get shot too. And she said, no, I can't do that. And I said, why? And she said, I can't point a gun at a human being. I said, that's the Ku Klux Klan. She said, and you're supposed to be a preacher. She said, if you ever forget that under that sheet is the heart of a child of God.
Now this ain't my jam right here, but I want you to hear what he says. What they do next.
Who believed in nonviolence. Now, what that forced me to do was to realize that guns were not the answer. So I went down to see the mayor. and he ran the local hardware store. And I told him about the Klan coming into town and that we had a voter registration drive the next day.
You know, I would like to point out that they're running a voter registration drive. This is, I want to say it's like the 1950s. And see how much pushback they were getting in the 1950s? It's very similar to today whenever we run voter registration drives, right? Like, for some reason, they don't want you to vote. This is why I always say voting is so important, because this is the only thing that they fight more than anything else.
And he picked up the phone and he called Flowers Bakery and Sunnyland Packing Company. And he told them that there was a Klan group on the outskirts of town and that they were coming into Thomasville. And they called the sheriff and told the sheriff that the Klan could meet on the courthouse steps, but they should not be allowed to parade through the black community or to harass black citizens at all. And I learned then that the business community in almost every city wants to keep things peaceful, that they are the key to good race relations in most places.
Well, I have had some conversations with some of the downtown merchants. Everything is quiet this morning, and that is what we want in our downtown section. We do not want it to be a battleground.
So that was Mayor Hartsville. So as you know, the airport in Atlanta is called Hartsfield-Jackson. It's going to be from Maynard Jackson, who I believe followed up Hartsville that you just saw, which is being the white guy. Andrew Young is the protege of Maynard Jackson. And Atlanta is the one of the things that we don't really recognize is how much Atlanta played in the civil rights movement, emancipation movement, right? Sherman stopped in Atlanta. Georgia was kicked out of the Union prior to emancipation because they were wilding. The Atlanta Compromise, right, written by Booker T. Washington, something that I probably read like once a year because I vehemently disagree with a lot of what Booker T. Washington was trying to do, but he was writing a lot of places where, for instance, black should take on all trade jobs. Right there, he was absolutely right. But it goes to what the biggest takeaway that I have right here is that Andrew Young said, the business community typically does not want to deal with violence. And the key to fixing race relations is having access to the business community. Guess what, by and large, we do not have right now in the black community, right? We'll get placated by the business community, right? Like somebody will come in, after Mike Brown is murdered, trademark BLM, run a couple protests, and then get companies to dump money into them, right? But that's not really built around the ideology or the building of like, hey, how do we protect the black community from outsiders that want to prevent any type of civil rights action, right? Something as small as voting. Someone that wants to intimidate just your ability to vote. Someone that wants to impede just your ability to vote. And is willing to be violent to do so. Like Andrew Young told his wife, like, hey, they coming to get us. And if they come to get us, I need you to shoot one. She wasn't going to do it, right? And again, those are the things that I disagree with. But when we have, the class, the bourgeoisie, right? The academics that say, you know what blacks need to do? Blacks need revolution. I forget who stated this. It is a big name, but he said the only thing that revolutionaries end up are dead. That's all revolutionaries end up as, right? So this idea that the most prominent, preeminent, most intelligent black men need to run themselves out there at risk of murder, it's a stupid idea. We have to tactically retreat right now. And we have to use our brains. We're intelligent. We're a very, very intelligent group of men. And one of the things that we have to figure out is, I'll give you an example. This administration came in and they took over an industry, one branch of government that who have heard of ICE prior to 2016, right? Immigration Customs Enforcement, I believe is what it stands for, right? You heard of customs when, if you come back through, whenever you come back through the airport, got customs right there, right? Immigration, we don't think about it because we're not immigrating to our country. We're citizens, right? The powers that customs have, right? Like when you are coming back through an airport, you're literally coming through a port, right? Pretty much all rights that you would have on United States government land are suspended at airports and seaports. This administration, somebody in this administration came in there and said, you know what? If we take over immigration customs enforcement, we can enact a lot of things that would be unconstitutional, but we can enact it at the ports, the borders, where there is technically no habeas corpus. Not yet. You got to get through the border first. Then you're on American soil. Right? Love or hate, that's low-key brilliant. Love or hate it is low-key brilliant. In our community, we are so disconjoined, right, that someone can grift in the black community, take a slogan, Black Lives Matter, trademark it, and grift the community. And then be so bold to create a message, right? a mission statement where it says, you know what, we're anti-nuclear family. Andrew Young gave you your best answer right here. If you want to stop the impending storm that's coming in with violence, black Americans need to have access to the business community. What we need to do is find an organization in the black community. All of us need to join that organization that already have a 501c built in, that already have a built-in donor base, that already has all the information that we need. Move into it. Take it over. And then start reaching out to the business community to figure out what can we do as black Americans in this country. That's my ideal. That's what I would say we can do. That's what I would say we should do. Right? There's tons, right? Whether it's the NAACP, whether it's the Urban League, whether it's the Southern Christian Leadership Council. There's a lot of black 501c's out there that we can join. And we can actually see if we can make a difference with black political ideology. One of the things we said on the podcast yesterday was, blacks at one point in time had the black church. That was a place where everybody would be, right? Educated, uneducated, white collar, blue collar, single, married, family, friends, enemies, right? We would all show up to the black church. So we'd all know what was going on, and we would have a better idea of how our community would move forward. We don't have that now, right? Most of us do not attend churches, much less a black church. I know a lot of y'all go to these mega churches for clout, but the idea of the reunion, the revival, the idea of the black church, that may be something that we need to consider in our community right now, right? Do we need to get back to the black church? We talked about it on the pod for a good 20, 25 minutes. But more than anything, we need to look at the guys that came before us, right? I know we always talk about King, Garvey, Malcolm, Huey, not to use these men first name disparagingly or disrespectfully. These are the GOATs, right? But we always talk about these guys, right? But we typically miss out on the political animals that the black community have had. The Clayton Powells, the Andrew Youngs, the Willie Richardsons, the Maynard Jacksons, the Harvey Gantt, right? These guys understood soft power. And that's something that we need in the black man, in the black manosphere, right? is the understanding of, come on now, let them use you. What we got to understand in the black manosphere is that we do have to figure out a way to use soft power. And there's organizations that already exist. We don't have to create new organizations. Willie Brown, I said Willie Richardson. Willie Brown. Thank you. Who the heck is Willie Richardson? Willie Brown. And funny enough, all those guys knew each other. Right? Not knew each other, know each other. They're still alive. All these guys know each other. All these guys was boys, right? They didn't publicly show that they knew each other because of how hard it is living under an apartheid in this country. But one of the things I do want black American men to get better at is, the blues singer, yeah. One of the things I do want us to get better at is understanding political power, aka soft power. And this is from the 40s. This is from the 50s, man. He said something there very, very profound. The business community typically do not want to witness violence. That's including violence against black Americans. So if we want to save the community, we are going to have to reconnect with the business community. And us doing that individually is just too hard, right? Like, what are the odds of one of us becoming Robert Smith? That's too hard. But there are black organizations out there that we can join. June said we have too many folks that wanted to be the new leader versus figuring out and finding out who is already doing the work. Absolutely. Absolutely. But as black men, though, right? We can't put this on anybody else. We got to become members of these organizations and entrench ourselves in these organizations. All of us, right? If all of us in Charlotte who are black men, if all 60 of us join the Southern Leadership Conference, right, in Charlotte, it's not going to be long before that chapter is our chapter. And if we become the most effective chapter, won't be long before that organization is our organization. Now you have soft power. Now you have political, savvy. Now if something is going on in your city, right, you're connected to the business leaders in that city. You know what I'm saying? You have their cell phone numbers where you can call someone up that's a major force and say, hey, this is happening. This is transpiring. And that person will absolutely have the sheriff number. The same way that mayor had the sheriff number, right? He called two other guys that he knew in that community, and they called the sheriff. And the sheriff was like, okay. The hardware store owner called me, who's the mayor. I forget the other two companies' name, right? But the flower company, they called me, right? The distribution center owner called me, right? These three men said, you know what? The Klan need to be on the state house steps or the courthouse steps instead of going through the community intimidating them. Guess what happened? That happened. Brocky, you're right. We all can vote. We have to understand soft power, man. And one of the things that I will not stand by and do is let my brothers who are winning become revolutionaries. Not happening on my watch. It's not. Don't have to be a revolutionary. Maynard Jackson lived to be an old man. Andrew Young lived to be an old man. Willie Brown still knocking him down as an old man. I'm not letting my top notch, my top third of black men go out to become a revolutionary. Why? When we have organizations that we could join and we could project soft power. That's all I really had to say tonight, man. Sorry I came on here a little bit late. I'm still working on the idea myself. I'm trying to figure out what can we do. Yeah, you can't let the generals get killed. No, that's absolutely right. Like this idea of revolution is stupid. It is a supremacist idea. It is meant to put you in front to be wiped out. It is absolutely putting you to the front to be wiped out. And we can't let our best and brightest minds fall apart. Look at what Willie Brown did to San Francisco. It turned it into a tech city, right? Maynard Jackson, when they built out Atlanta airport, he made sure that, I want to say it was a certain percentage, right? But let's just say it was a quarter of all business had to go to black African American contractors, right? You couldn't get the deal if you didn't have 25% of your subs as black Americans. and look at the wealth that created for Black Americans in Atlanta, right? That's what soft power can do. That's what we got to get. That's what we have, 17%. That's what we have to get used to doing. We have to be infiltrators. We absolutely do. We have to use our brains, guys. Like, yo, I know we tough. I know we smart. I know we strong, right? I know we like to fight. We like it, right? We like to fight, right? You don't believe it? Go to the barbershop and start a conversation on who's the greatest of all time in basketball, right? Dude's gonna want to fight 2 hours into that conversation, and that conversation is gonna go for 6 hours. It's in us. It's in us to fight, right? But it's also in us to use all those stats and numbers and that great recall we have when we were making these arguments about Jordan and Kobe and LeBron, right? You know what I'm saying? You got people that's like, man, you remember the Pistons game in the last 19 minutes? He dropped X amount of points. Like, bro, that's recall, right? That's intelligence. Let's use that for soft power. Let's figure that out. And let us move into some of these organizations. And again, I don't know who, I don't know where. I'll work on that, right? I'll work on the why. I'll work on the how. I'll work on the who. I will, right? I'll commit to that. But let us all commit to making sure that us and our whole sphere vote every November. Every November. I missed probably one of the first small elections I've ever missed about 2 weeks ago because I had a busy as heck week. Didn't get to go to the library to early vote, and I hate voting without knowing who's on the ballot and who's on the issue. So I just didn't want to vote for no reason, and I ended up missing. It was a small election, right? But we have to get used to that. The sisters are learning what Black men have already learned the hard way. Yeah, soft power is quiet, intelligence is quiet as well. Like that. That's what we have to be, and we have to look back to some of the old guys, man, that who names don't really ring out, and figure out what they know, and we need to make sure that we know it, and then we need to make sure that we're moving together to do it. But hey, man, I appreciate y'all coming in, listening to me rant for 30 minutes. Again, sorry I was late for whatever reason. Instagram was not connecting to Streamlabs, and I had to log everything out and log everything back in. Finally, it clicked on, and I'm glad it did. Even though it was late, I love when you guys come in and comment on what we need to, discuss. Yeah, revolutionary always get taken off the board. Every. Hey, good job getting there, Brock. Like I said, I tried, but then, like I said, I ended up leaving the country. So I hate that I missed it because that's free. Voting is free. And and this is the thing, if Black Americans, if we vote at a 90% clip, you can start trading that because they know you coming. But when we voted, I forget where we were the last election. I had to look that up. But we was at the lowest turnout rates. It was pathetic. And I get it because one of the things that I looked up, and I'll never forget this. I looked up what was voter turnout in the 1964 election. Like what was Black voter turnout, right? And you would think that election, Black voter turnout was 90%, right? It was like 65%, fam, right? Just a third of Blacks are just going to not do what they need to do, right? That's just what it is. That's just what it is. It was like 65% in the South, and overall it was like 57%. They're just not going to do what they're supposed to do, right? So the only thing that we should need to be asking the Black community to do is hey, I need you to vote. I need you. That has to become a thing. And that's why, I asked the question on the pod, should we come back to the Black church? Right? Because at least there, maybe we can get the information we need if that becomes the basis of our community again. Right? But because we don't have a way or a place to really get information out in our community anymore. Right? It's not rap music. It's not rappers. Right, because the intellectual class of Blacks really don't listen to that anymore, right? It's not MSNBC because half of us are not liberals, right? Even if we vote Democratic, we're not liberals, right? So there is no one place. The fact that we gotta tell our people to vote is diabolical. We are a compromised people, Mimi. Like Black Americans we're compromised. We need to admit it. Look at it in the face, and then we have to start creating solutions. And one of the biggest solutions that I think we can do, right, is make sure that our circle votes, right? Like that has to become an important thing. And then we have to find Black organizations we have to find the small, influential Black organization, and then we got to join. We got to flood it. We have to flood it, right? We got to find a small Black organization that might be 1,500 members, and then 5,000 of us got to join. That's our organization now. It's ours. And then we start using soft power. That's what I think. If anybody has a better idea or alternative idea, I'm open to it. But that's all I got tonight. Appreciate y'all. I'll be out tomorrow. I believe we're going to be at Vintage. So, hey, if y'all want to come out, hang out tomorrow, we'll definitely be out there. Outside of that, Relentless, I got to get in touch with you. But outside of that, man, I appreciate everybody coming in there late. And let's do it again in the future, man. Holla at your boy. We can't get exploited for our votes. Man, June, that's all we doing. Hey, come out tomorrow night, man. We need to talk. Like all we're doing is being exploited, man. All we're doing is being exploited. We got to figure out a way to get our intellectuals to the top. Yeah, we need to trade our vote for something. We need to trade it for something.